The forest behind our town was older than anyone could remember. The trees stood so tall that even in the middle of the day, sunlight struggled to reach the ground. People in our town called it Blackwood Forest. Most children were warned never to go there, especially at night. Parents said it was easy to get lost. But the older kids whispered a different reason. They said something lived there. When I was 17, I thought those stories were nothing more than rumors. Every small town has its legends. Ours just happened to involve a tall shadow that walked between the trees. My name is Erin, and everything I am about to tell you happened during one autumn, when my friends and I decided to prove that the legend of Slender Man was nothing more than a creepy story from the internet. There were 4 of us that night. Me, my best friend Lucas, our classmate Megan, and Daniel, who always carried a camera everywhere he went. "Imagine the views," he said, while adjusting his camera tripod near the forest entrance. "People love scary stuff." The wind moved through the trees like a whisper. Lucas laughed. "Relax, it's just a forest." At least, that's what we thought. We entered the forest just after sunset. The sky was turning dark blue, and the air smelled like wet leaves and cold soil. Daniel kept recording everything, pointing the camera at the trees, the path, and our nervous faces. "Okay," he said to the camera. "Tonight we're exploring Blackwood Forest, where locals claim a tall, faceless figure appears in photographs and follows people who wander too far inside." Megan rolled her eyes. "You're making it sound like a horror movie." But Daniel only smiled and kept filming. The deeper we walked, the quieter everything became. No birds, no insects, just our footsteps. At first, we joked and laughed. We tried to scare each other by pointing at shadows or snapping twigs behind someone's back. But after an hour, the jokes started fading. Something about the forest felt wrong. Lucas stopped suddenly. "Do you hear that?" We all froze. For a moment, there was nothing. Then Daniel whispered the camera picked up something earlier. "What do you mean?" I asked. He rewound the footage and showed us the screen. At first, we didn't notice anything. The video showed us walking down the path like before. But in the background, between 2 trees, there was something strange. A tall shape, extremely tall, too tall to be a person, and it was completely still. "Probably just a tree," Megan said quickly. But Daniel zoomed in. The shape wasn't a tree. It looked like a person wearing a black suit, and where the face should have been, there was nothing. No eyes, no mouth, just a pale blank surface. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Lucas forced a laugh. "Nice editing trick." Daniel shook his head. "I didn't edit anything." We turned around slowly, scanning the trees behind us. The forest was empty, or at least it looked empty. Trying to ignore the uneasy feeling growing in our stomachs, we kept walking. Daniel continued recording, but now the camera shook slightly in his hands. The path became narrower until it finally disappeared completely. We were surrounded by trees in every direction. That's when Megan noticed something tied to a branch, a piece of paper. We walked closer. On the paper was a crude drawing made with black ink. It showed a tall figure standing among trees with long arms stretching toward small stick figures. "Children," Lucas whispered, "okay, that's creepy." We started seeing more drawings after that. Some were nailed to trees, some hung from branches. All of them showed the same faceless figure, and every drawing seemed to point deeper into the forest. Daniel's camera suddenly flickered. The screen filled with static for a moment before returning to normal. "What was that?" he said. The air felt colder. A strange pressure filled the forest, like the atmosphere before a storm. And then Lucas said the words that changed everything. "Guys, don't turn around too fast." My heart began racing. "Why?" His voice trembled. "Because I think someone is standing behind us." Slowly, we turned. At first, we saw only trees. Then, between the trunks, far in the distance, stood a tall figure. It was impossibly thin, wearing what looked like a black suit, and its head was smooth and white. No face, just like in the drawing. No one moved. No one breathed. Daniel lifted the camera and zoomed in. The figure didn't move. But the moment the camera focused on it, the screen glitched again. When the image returned, the figure was gone. Lucas whispered, "Tell me you all saw that." We had panic finally took control. "Let's leave," Megan said quickly. Right now, we turned and began walking faster, trying to find the path back to town. But the forest no longer looked familiar. Every direction looked the same. Daniel kept looking at the camera screen. "It's appearing in the footage," he said nervously, "even when we don't see it." "What do you mean?" He turned the screen toward us. In the live recording behind us, the tall, faceless figure was standing between the trees again, much closer this time. And before we continue the story, if you're enjoying this chilling tale about Slender Man, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps the channel grow and allows us to bring you more mysterious and terrifying stories from the darkest corners of the internet. Now, back to the forest. We started running. Branches scratched our arms as we pushed through the trees. The ground was uneven, covered in roots that nearly made us fall. Daniel kept the camera pointed behind us while running. "It's following us," he said. "Stop filming and run." Megan shouted, but Daniel refused. "This is proof," he said breathlessly. "People will finally believe the stories." Suddenly, Lucas stopped. "Wait, we nearly crashed into him." "What now?" I asked. Lucas pointed ahead. The trees opened into a small clearing. In the center stood something that looked like a broken playground. Rusty swings moved slowly in the wind, and hanging from the tallest tree in the clearing were dozens of pieces of paper, hundreds of drawings, all showing the same faceless figure. Daniel walked closer to film them. "That's impossible," he whispered. Then the camera began glitching violently. The screen turned white. Static filled the speakers, and when the image returned, the camera showed something standing directly behind Daniel, the tall figure right behind him. Daniel slowly turned around, but the clearing was empty, or at least it seemed empty. The wind stopped. The swings stopped moving. The forest became completely silent. Then Daniel screamed. The camera fell to the ground. Still recording, the last thing visible in the footage was a tall shadow moving toward us. And then, nothing. We found the camera the next morning near the edge of the forest. Daniel was gone. No footprints, no sign of a struggle. Just the recording. Some people say the legend of Slender Man is just a story, but whenever I watch the final frame of that video, I notice something new every time. A tall figure standing behind the trees, watching, waiting. And the worst part is the feeling that once you've seen him, he might already know where you are.